Welcome to Weekly Cheats, where after a week of eating clean, it's time for something sweet. Today we're going to be making chocolate brownie thunder ice cream. It's one of my favorite ones to buy at the store, but I think we can make it better, making it ourselves. So we're going to. So for this, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to melt down our chocolate for the base. Dark chocolate, it's 20 ounces of dark chocolate. I like the Van Leer by Calibé. You can use whatever dark chocolate you want. Then we're going to do 2 cups of half and half. And we are going to melt these down. And the reason we're using half and half in here is so that we can let this cool down before we pour into the base. That way it'll churn better. All right, so this is all melted, so we are just going to set this to the side off the heat and let that cool down. And now we'll get started on the base. Okay, for this base, all we need is 2 cups of sugar with a teaspoon of salt, 5 whole eggs. If you're weirded out by eating raw eggs, you can pasteurize them at home yourself. It's super easy. Just fill up a pot, heat the water to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and then put your eggs in. If you can, try and have them at room temperature before you add them to the water so they're pretty much thawed out already. And then keep them at 140 degrees for 3 to 4 minutes, and then run cool water over them to cool them back down. And then you've got pasteurized eggs, killed any bacteria that you might be worried about. Just gonna go and add this. Add our eggs, and we'll beat these. Then we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of vanilla while these beat. As you can see, it's still really grainy, so we're gonna add some half and half to thin it out. Make sure that we don't have grainy ice cream, because nobody wants that. Scrape the sides down first just to make sure. There's never really like a set amount of how much you need to add here. You just have to watch the texture. And once you see it kind of go velvety, you'll see that it won't be grainy anymore, and that's the sweet spot. There we go. All right, so as you can see, our chocolate is still super liquidy. Very nice and liquidy. It's not completely cooled down, but it's cooled down enough that we don't have to worry about cooking the eggs, and this will finish cooling it down as well. This is foamy on top. It's not whipped though, which is exactly how we want it. So we're just gonna have this on while we slowly add this in so it beats in nicely. Best angle. All right, so we've got the base all done, so we're gonna go ahead and pour this chocolate base in. It's very dark chocolatey, which is great because all the extra stuff that we're gonna put in there is gonna make it a milk chocolate. So don't use milk chocolate for this. Make sure you use dark chocolate, otherwise it'll come out basically a dark vanilla. At least for what's gonna be in the canister, this is it. Our base and cream and half and half. Gonna fill this up to the top of the 4th one down. Basically halfway with the cream here. And we're gonna go about midway between the 2nd and 3rd one. We're gonna fill this up with ice to the 2nd ring from the bottom. Then we're gonna do a ring of salt around it. Then we're gonna come up to the last band around the top, and we'll put another layer of salt. We'll fill it all the way up with ice, and then we'll put 1 more layer of salt. I've never had an issue with having too much salt, but I've definitely had issues with not having enough. So I've found that just doing the 3 different levels with salt in there makes sure that it stays cool all the way through and churns pretty evenly as best as possible. Oh, this top part looks like a Wendy's Frosty. Come on. Oh. All right, so I made some brownies just on the side here. This is actually the same brownie recipe from the peanut butter amaze balls, the fudgy brownies that we make in that. So if you want to make the same brownies, hop over to that video. We'll put a link for that for you and watch that. It's a great recipe. But instead of doing the full batch, I did a half batch in an 8x8 pan and cooked it for 30 minutes instead of 45, same 325-degree temperature. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna trim these little edges off here. I'm also gonna trim some of this dry part off. We are going to roll these out to flatten them out a little bit. Then we get a little bit more mileage out of them, but also it gets rid of some of the air pockets in there so they don't get soggy and you get nice, good brownies. Not gonna want huge pieces because remember, these are gonna be eaten in spoonfuls. First thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna drop some of our brownies down in the bottom of each one. And then give a hearty dose of Magic Show. Okay, so here we have our chocolate brownie thunder ice cream. Super good. If you like this recipe, feel free to give me a comment. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and let me know what your favorite ice cream is. And as always, please share with anybody you might think also could enjoy this and enjoy the recipe. I will. Yes.